Yes, an explosion-proof exhaust fan is needed. Stains, varnishes, paints, and other materials used in furniture refurbishing release flammable vapors that can create an explosive atmosphere. When these vapors mix with oxygen and an ignition source, such as a spark from the fan motor, they can ignite and cause an explosion. NFPA 33, standard for spray application using flammable and combustible materials, requires explosion-proof exhaust fans in areas where flammable or combustible materials are used. A suitable explosion-proof fan must be UL listed for Class 1, Group D, Division 1 or Division 2 hazardous locations. It should have explosion-proof construction with a sealed motor, fan blades, and housing to prevent ignition. It also needs adequate airflow capacity, measured in cubic feet per minute, to remove fumes and maintain a safe atmosphere. To properly install the fan, mount it in the open joists and duct it directly to the outside of the house. Use rigid metal ductwork and seal all joints and connections securely. Ensure that the ductwork is sloped downward towards the outside to prevent condensation from accumulating. For electrical considerations, wire the fan to a dedicated circuit with appropriate overcurrent protection. Use explosion-proof switches and electrical boxes for all controls and connections. A standard Newton QT300 fan is not explosion-proof and should not be used in this application. Another alternative is to use a non-sparking exhaust fan, such as one designed for commercial kitchens. However, these fans may not be as robust as explosion-proof fans and may not provide the same level of protection. Therefore, for safety and code compliance, it is essential to install an explosion-proof exhaust fan in the work area. A standard fan is insufficient and poses a significant explosion hazard. Understanding Class 1, Group D hazardous locations is crucial for selecting the correct explosion-proof fan. Class 1 refers to locations where flammable gases or vapors are or may be present in the air in quantities sufficient to produce explosive or ignitable mixtures. Group D includes specific gases and vapors like acetone, alcohol, benzene, butane, gasoline, hexane, lacquer, solvent vapors, and naphtha. Division 1 locations are those where hazardous concentrations of flammable gases or vapors are likely to exist under normal operating conditions, or where frequent maintenance or repair operations, or leakage, may release flammable concentrations. Division 2 locations are those where hazardous concentrations of flammable gases or vapors are not normally present, and include locations where these are handled, processed, or used, but in which the hazardous liquids, vapors, or gases are normally confined within closed containers or closed systems from which they can escape only in case of accidental rupture or breakdown of such containers or systems, or in case of abnormal operation of equipment. Selecting a fan rated for both Division 1 and Division 2 provides a higher level of safety as it covers a broader range of potential scenarios. When choosing an explosion-proof fan, pay close attention to the CFM, or cubic feet per minute, rating. This indicates the volume of air the fan can move per minute. The required CFM depends on the size of the work area and the amount of fumes generated. Consult ventilation guidelines and consider the specific materials being used to determine the appropriate CFM. It's always better to err on the side of higher CFM to ensure adequate ventilation. The fan's motor is a critical component in an explosion-proof design. Explosion-proof motors are designed to contain any internal explosion within the motor housing, preventing it from igniting the surrounding atmosphere. These motors are typically sealed and robustly constructed. Check for certifications from recognized testing laboratories, such as UL or ETL, to ensure the motor meets the required safety standards. Ductwork plays a vital role in safely removing fumes from the work area. As mentioned earlier, use rigid metal ductwork, not flexible ducting, to minimize the risk of leaks or collapses. Seal all joints and connections with a suitable sealant to prevent vapors from escaping. The ductwork should be sloped downward towards the outside to allow condensation to drain away. This prevents moisture buildup, which can damage the fan and ductwork over time. The location of the exhaust outlet is also important. Position it away from windows, doors, or air intakes to prevent fumes from re-entering the building. Consider the prevailing wind direction to further minimize the risk of fume recirculation. The electrical wiring for the fan must also be explosion-proof. Use rigid metal conduit and explosion-proof electrical boxes and fittings. Ensure that all connections are properly sealed and that the wiring is grounded. The circuit breaker or fuse protecting the fan circuit should be sized appropriately for the fan's motor. Consult the fan's nameplate for the correct amperage rating. Regular maintenance is essential to ensure the fan continues to operate safely and effectively. Inspect the fan and ductwork regularly for any signs of damage or deterioration. Clean the fan blades and motor housing to remove any dust or debris. Check the ductwork for any obstructions or leaks. Replace any damaged components promptly. If the fan is not operating properly, have it inspected and repaired by a qualified electrician. Remember that using an explosion-proof fan is not the only safety measure to consider when working with flammable materials. Always work in a well-ventilated area. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as respirators and gloves. Store flammable materials in approved containers and away from ignition sources. Do not smoke or use open flames in the work area. By taking these precautions, you can create a safer working environment and minimize the risk of fire or explosion. One should verify the local electrical codes and building regulations, as they may have additional requirements for ventilation and explosion-proof equipment. Consulting with a qualified electrician and building inspector is highly recommended to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and standards. In addition to explosion-proof fans, there are other ventilation options available, such as air makeup units. Air makeup units supply fresh air to the work area, which can help to dilute flammable vapors and improve ventilation. However, these units must be properly sized and installed to be effective. They should also be interlocked with the exhaust fan so that they operate simultaneously. Consider using a vapor sensor in the work area to monitor the concentration of flammable vapors. These sensors can trigger an alarm if the vapor concentration exceeds a safe level. This can provide an early warning of a potential hazard and allow you to take corrective action. Training on the safe handling of flammable materials is crucial for anyone working in the area. Ensure that everyone understands the hazards involved and knows how to use the equipment safely. Provide regular refresher training to reinforce these concepts. Furthermore, be aware of the limitations of explosion-proof equipment. While explosion-proof equipment is designed to contain an internal explosion, it is not impervious to damage. If the equipment is subjected to excessive heat, pressure, or mechanical stress, it may fail. Therefore, it is important to handle explosion-proof equipment with care and to protect it from damage. Proper grounding is essential for all electrical equipment in a hazardous location. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to prevent electrical shock and reduce the risk of ignition. Ensure that all electrical equipment is properly grounded in accordance with the National Electrical Code (NEC). If possible, use intrinsically safe equipment in the work area. Intrinsically safe equipment is designed to operate with very low voltage and current levels, which reduces the risk of ignition even in the presence of flammable vapors. While intrinsically safe equipment may not be suitable for all applications, it can provide an additional layer of safety. When selecting an explosion-proof fan, consider the ambient temperature of the work area. Some fans are designed to operate only within a specific temperature range. If the ambient temperature is too high or too low, the fan may not operate properly or may even fail. Choose a fan that is rated for the expected temperature range of the work area. Regularly inspect the fan's bearings and lubricate them as needed. Worn or dry bearings can cause the motor to overheat, which can increase the risk of ignition. Use a lubricant that is compatible with the fan's motor and bearings. Furthermore, be aware of the potential for static electricity to build up in the work area. Static electricity can discharge and ignite flammable vapors. Take steps to minimize the buildup of static electricity, such as using grounding straps and anti-static mats. When cleaning the work area, use non-sparking tools and equipment. Sparking tools can ignite flammable vapors. Use tools made of materials such as aluminum or brass, which are less likely to spark. Also, make sure that the area is adequately ventilated before starting any cleaning operations. Avoid using solvents or other flammable liquids to clean the work area. These liquids can release flammable vapors and increase the risk of fire or explosion. Use a mild detergent and water instead. When disposing of waste materials from the work area, follow all applicable regulations. Flammable materials should be disposed of in approved containers and in accordance with local, state, and federal regulations. Do not dispose of flammable materials in regular trash cans or down the drain. Finally, remember that safety is an ongoing process. Stay informed about the latest safety standards and best practices. Continuously evaluate the work area and identify potential hazards. Take steps to eliminate or minimize these hazards. By working together, you can create a safe and productive work environment. It is important to document all safety procedures and training. This documentation can be used to demonstrate compliance with regulations and to provide a record of safety efforts. Keep records of all inspections, maintenance, and repairs performed on the explosion-proof fan and other safety equipment. These records can be helpful in identifying potential problems and preventing accidents. Review the safety procedures regularly and update them as needed. As new materials and equipment are introduced, the safety procedures may need to be revised. Ensure that everyone is aware of any changes to the safety procedures. Conduct regular safety audits of the work area. These audits can help to identify potential hazards that may have been overlooked. Use a checklist to ensure that all key safety items are covered during the audit. Take prompt action to correct any deficiencies identified during the audit. Engage employees in the safety process. Encourage employees to report any safety concerns or suggestions. Provide employees with opportunities to participate in safety training and committees. Employees who are actively involved in the safety process are more likely to follow safety procedures and to identify potential hazards. If an accident does occur, investigate it thoroughly to determine the cause. Take steps to prevent similar accidents from happening in the future. Share the findings of the investigation with all employees. Also, it is beneficial to have a written emergency plan in place. This plan should outline the steps to be taken in the event of a fire, explosion, or other emergency. The plan should include evacuation procedures, contact information for emergency services, and instructions for shutting down equipment. Ensure that all employees are familiar with the emergency plan and know what to do in case of an emergency. Conduct regular drills to practice the emergency plan. These drills can help to identify any weaknesses in the plan and to ensure that everyone knows what to do in an emergency. Consider installing a fire suppression system in the work area. A fire suppression system can automatically extinguish a fire, which can help to prevent it from spreading. Choose a fire suppression system that is appropriate for the types of flammable materials being used in the work area. Additionally, regularly inspect and maintain the fire suppression system to ensure that it is in good working order. Store flammable materials in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight and heat sources. Keep flammable materials in tightly closed containers to prevent vapors from escaping. Do not store flammable materials near ignition sources such as open flames, sparks, or hot surfaces. Post warning signs in the work area to alert people to the presence of flammable materials. These signs should clearly state the hazards involved and the precautions to be taken. Use labels to identify all flammable materials. These labels should include the name of the material, the hazards involved, and the precautions to be taken. Ensure that all labels are legible and securely attached to the containers. Control access to the work area to prevent unauthorized personnel from entering. This can help to reduce the risk of accidents. Use a lockable door or gate to restrict access to the work area. Provide adequate lighting in the work area to ensure that people can see clearly. This can help to prevent accidents. Use explosion-proof lighting fixtures in areas where flammable vapors are present. Consider using a dust collection system in the work area. A dust collection system can remove dust and debris from the air, which can help to reduce the risk of fire or explosion. Choose a dust collection system that is appropriate for the types of materials being used in the work area. Regularly inspect and maintain the dust collection system to ensure that it is in good working order. And lastly, remember that safety is a shared responsibility. Everyone who works in the area has a role to play in creating a safe and productive environment. By working together and following these guidelines, you can minimize the risk of fire, explosion, and other accidents.